and welcome to HORNCLUB, the online saxophone magazine with me, Bob Whittaker, and Dean Masser.
Hello.
Coming up in this episode, we have a free download for you. It's of one of Dean's new duets out of his new book, and we'll be playing it for you. And you can download it if you follow the link below. Click on that, download it, have fun. There's MP3s and PDFs, so have fun with that. Also, in the Bebop Cookbook, Dean has a clever angle on the Bebop Major scale. So we'll be discussing that. Some little insight in there for you. But first, sax news. Ben Wendell, the prolific New York-based tenorman, has a new album out. It's called High Heart. And it's quite a departure from his last offering, which was a series of duets. This album's quite a grand affair, huge production, some nice modern grooves, keyboards, Fender Rhodes. Almost reminds me a little of some of the 1970s Wayne Shorter offerings. Most notably, though, it features a vocalist, Michael Mayo, whose wordless singing really complements Wendell's acrobatic saxophone playing. So well worth checking out. Have a listen to it. It's quite a different album and quite glorious. Next in the news, local news, Dean Masser has a new book out, a duet book, and we'll be playing one of them later on in the show. So check out his website and have a look at those. And finally, a book recommendation. Sugar-Free Saxophone. It documents the rise of Jackie McLean, who was the giant of hard bop, an amazing alto player, featured on hundreds and hundreds of albums, both as sideman and under his own name. And it's a terrific read. Starts off as a teenager, being taken under the wing of pianist Bud Powell, then depping for Charlie Parker. Lots of interesting stories and anecdotes, including the time where he fell out with Charles Mingus and they had a bit of a fisticuffs. Also him joining Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Terrific read, nice and easy to read. I think it was published in 2012, but readily available. So, highly recommended here at HORNCLUB. Sugar-Free Saxophone. So that was good fun, Dean.
Yeah,
really enjoy the new duet book.
Yeah.
What made you want to write it?
Well, in the first place, when we went into lockdown, I had this cunning plan. You see, that if you had a duet book with the parts recorded, you could duet at home,
right,
with me.
Duets for lockdown.
Yeah. And of course, there's things that I teach that I wanted to cover in the books that maybe isn't quite covered the way I wanted it to be in the other duet books. You know, I could specifically target things.
Okay.
And also, I didn't want to make them sound too kind of exercisey.
Yeah.
I wanted them to be quite tuneful, so that as people play through them and kind of pick up the phrasing, because the tunes are memorable.
Oh, without a doubt, I can vouch for that. They're real earwormy, aren't they? So, they're excellent.
Yeah, my wife will attest to that.
Yeah.
So, but I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm getting some nice feedback, and I'm writing a few more.
And how many is there in this new one now?
Well, there's 8 in
total
in the book as it stands.
Great.
And I've got about another 4 done, so hopefully they're a little bit more advanced, maybe. So hopefully I'll get a few more written and get another one out.
Yeah, no, they're excellent. Really enjoy them. So, and as the title of this video suggests, there's a little bit in this particular one, why we chose this one. There's a couple of bars where we play the Bebop Major scale.
We do indeed.
And what are your thoughts of the Bebop Major scale? I know you've got an angle on it, so spill.
Well, you know me, Bob, I've always got an angle on scales. Yeah. It's not a scale.
It's not a scale.
It is a scale.
Right.
Of course it's a scale. However, the construction of the scale is really quite interesting if you look at it. In this particular duet, we play it in contrary motion.
Right.
For those who don't know what that means, that's one of us goes up and the other one comes down at the same time. And if we just play that now, just to demonstrate it.
Yep.
And what we'll do first is we'll play it as it appears in the duet, and then we'll play it again. Mm-hmm. But this time I'll start on the third of the scale,
right,
rather than on the root of the scale.
Okay.
Just so that I can
demonstrate
the point. So, when you hear it like that, in contrary motion, I think that you can hear, or certainly I can hear, and it's true, that the first note is a note, in this case, from a G6 chord.
Yeah, okay.
The second note is a note from the leading note diminished, F sharp diminished.
Okay, yeah.
The third note is from G6.
Got you.
The fourth is from the diminished. So basically, every alternate note is a note of the G6 chord.
Right.
And the notes that fit in between are the notes of F sharp diminished.
Right, okay.
So it's actually 2 chords working together.
Yeah.
And if you just think of it as a scale, of course, it's a really useful thing to run up
Absolutely.
and down, and it's a big part of the kind of jazz vocabulary. But also, if you understand that it's 2 chords working together, you can get a lot more kind of variety in your phrasing.
Right.
Like this. So there, I was playing one chord against the other chord.
Right.
You know, which was giving it a much more kind of,
different
I was
language.
able to, yeah, and very different shapes too, rather than just things. So it's a handy little thing to know.
Sounds great, yeah. So essentially, what you're doing is, instead of treating it as purely a scale going up and down and trying to make it work over the chords, you're looking at it as the major 6th chord and the leading note diminished chord, and using the diminished notes to pick up to a chord note.
You're getting the hang of this, aren't you?
Hey, pick up.
Yeah.
So, it's actually like approach. You're going to approach the major 6th chord with the diminished chord, which gives you a lot more shapes.
Yeah,
basically,
and tension and release that you're in much more control of. I think.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So there you have it, the Bebop Major scale. Is it a scale? So that brings us to the end of this episode of Horn Club. We really hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful, hopefully. And if you have, remember, big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button as soon as you can. And we'll be back for another episode really, really soon. So we'll see you then.